Hi there, it's Rita coming to you from my sewing room, and I am going to put a binding on a quilt today, and so I thought I would just show you how I do that. I know when I first started quilting, I didn't put the binding on properly. I just basically did a straight line, and then I would stitch the ends, and then I'd do another straight line and I'd stitch the ends. Yeah, I would fold over the ends so you couldn't see them, they weren't raw, but yeah, it wasn't quote unquote the correct way to do it. And so it's just a skill I've learned over the years, and I thought, well, maybe there's people out there that are just starting to quilt that might want to know this. So follow along with me and I will show you how I do it. It's actually really easy. Okay, so now I have the camera turned around so you can see. And as you can see, I'm going to stitch 1/4 inch right along the edge here, attaching my binding to the quilt. And I have a pin in place here because that's my point of stop. Now, I just literally eyeballed it. I'm actually pretty good at eyeballing, and I think, 1/4 inch is what you want. So I want 1/4 inch in this way, and I want 1/4 inch in this way. And I sometimes do have to pick it up and replace it, but I just want you to see, underneath here, it's pretty much an inch, or sorry, 1/4 inch on each side. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to stitch right along here. When I get to the point of the pin, I'm going to pivot with my needle down. Important that your needle is down. And then I'm going to stitch diagonally to the corner. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to back stitch or tack it at any point. I'm literally just going to stitch straight down. And when I get to the needle, I'm going to diagonally sew it right off. That's the first step. Okay, so now I'm at the point where the needle, or sorry, the pin was. The needle is down. I'm going to lift up my presser foot, and you can kind of just see, I guess you can't, it's hard to see with the needle down, but you can kind of just see under there is the little edge. And I am going to just pivot this so it is going to go right off the edge, and it's literally just a couple of stitches. 2 or 3 stitches is all it'll be to take you off of the edge. And then I'm just gonna cut my thread, take it out, and you can see, I'll put it in the light, see how it's kind of pivoted off the edge there, about 1/4 inch. And then here comes the other part. Actually, let me just get this set up and I will get rolling just again. Hold on. Okay, so here we are. So I've just moved my quilts the sideways. So now I want to do the other side. But because I've now stitched at an angle off of here, I need to somehow fold this so it's going to go nicely around that corner. So first of all, I am going to fold it so it's on a diagonal, on a 45-degree diagonal like this. Okay, and again, I apologize, I'm doing this one-handed, so I hope you can figure this out. So you're just gonna perpendicularly, so it's going this way, and now you want it to go this way, the binding. So you just want a 45-degree angle right here. And then what you're gonna do, keeping this 45-degree angle right there, you are gonna take this and you're gonna flip it over like this. And you're gonna have a little sort of pocket right there, which is fine, which is what is supposed to happen. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna start right off the edge, and you're gonna start sewing all the way down. And you're just gonna keep doing that until you get to the next corner, and you're gonna do the same thing. So I'll get back to you. Okay, so I should back up a little bit here. When I first started putting the binding on, I left about a 6-inch tail, and then I just started sewing about there. So because this needs to be free, because when I come around the other way, I need to leave about another sort of 6-inch tail-ish, give or take. It doesn't really matter. Just don't make it too long. So now what I need to do is we need to join these. So I'm gonna just put this against the edge here, the one line, and I'm gonna open up my binding, see? So I'm gonna open it up this way so it lays flat. The one side lays flat, or I guess against the edge of the side of the quilt right here. And sometimes it doesn't always want to lay flat. So then I just take this and I sort of like fold it up a bit, because honestly it doesn't, it just helps with the process a bit. So now I've laid this out flat. I want to now do the same thing on with this one. I'm going to line up the one edge. You'll notice that this edge is cut on a 45-degree angle, and that's what you want. You need to start with the cut side of a 45-degree angle of your binding that is folded in half. So now I'm going to just lay this on top. Let's move it up on the camera screen a bit more. Lay it up like this, and then open it up. And then I'll probably have to like bunch this up a little bit on that side, just because I want it to lie flat. Because what I want to do is, see this edge right here? I want to be able to make a mark. So I'm going to take my marking tool, you just use whatever favorite marker tool you have. Mine is the Choco Liner. So I just am going to make a mark right along the edge of that, and that's on the part that came around. Okay, so that's done now. So now what I need to do is I need to make this longer by 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to take just a little square ruler, and here's a 1/2 inch mark right there. So I'm going to line that up with the line that I just drew, and I'm going to mark another line like that. The line that I just made it longer by 1/2 inch. I'm going to cut on that line, and this is basically the seam allowance. This right here, this is the seam allowance. So this is scrap. And now you have two pieces that look like this, and you're like, how the heck am I going to join it? Let me show you. You're going to take this piece like this and this piece like this, and you're going to put them right sides together. Okay? You're going to have a little dog ear right here by about 1/4 inch, and on this side 1/4 inch, because that's your seam allowance. So basically what you're doing is you're going to match it up like this, and I'm just going to put a little pin in there because I just want to hold it even, and I am going to stitch it. So just use there we go. I just want to, you don't want to pull this because it's on the bias. So if you pull it and stretch it, it's going to sort of get out of shape a little bit. So I am just going to sew this together here, 1/4 inch. And so it may have not quite been 1/4 inch. I may have stretched it there a little bit, but you know what? It's all gonna work out in the end. So now you can see how it wants to fold over like that. Isn't that great? So I will take this to the iron now, and I like to just give it a good press. And then I can just basically sew this all up here now, and my binding will be complete. And then I just need to turn it over or like, you know, iron it over this way once it's all stitched. And you can either hand sew it, or you can machine stitch it in the ditch. And personally, I like to machine stitch in the ditch because I don't like hand sewing, and I want my projects done faster than if I could ever hand stitch. So there you go. That's how you put a binding onto a quilt.